Alrighty, traders. Sorry, I was running a little late there for a second. I'm just totally spaced out. Sitting here looking, I was actually sitting here looking at the market and spaced out a bit. So it's 4th of July weekend. I think I'm already looking forward into the weekend here in the U.S. So let's talk about the lack of movement in the market. But let's talk about a few important things that actually happened. Now, keep in mind, the market's probably going to be pretty quiet between now and Sunday. I doubt we're going to get any major moves going into this next whoops, where am I at right now? Tuesday. Okay. Sorry, I thought this thing reset for some reason. Well, let's go into tomorrow. This is the payrolls is showing there. Okay, so tomorrow there's some PMIs, European PMIs that might move the needle, but I wouldn't imagine, and same with the UK, I wouldn't imagine moves too much. But let me show you kind of what is happening with, well, let's start with the majors. Let's just go with the euro first and foremost. So here's the euro. The problem with the euro that it had, in my opinion, is that we failed at the flag top. And we also made a little false breakout. You see this right here, right? That's a risk for the euro dollar in general. And you got to be a little careful with the euro. The failure to take out this this flag leads me to believe that we are probably going to head back down towards 111 before bouncing. And the problem is this flag is starting to get very long in the tooth. I don't like flags that last longer than 50% of the distance of the flagpole. And the flagpole could be like this too. I mean, you know, we can't just say that this is it. It's probably more like that. But if we do get all the way down here and it takes us that long to get down there, we will exceed more than 50% of the distance, like from here to here, right? 50% of the distance, then the flag has developed. So that means it's really won't trade like a flag even on a breakout. But here's where you have to kind of disregard what I say if we do break out, because it's a multi-year trend line. So, I think if we break out, it's actually going to break out pretty aggressively. It's just I'm surprised that it didn't do it today, especially with the equity markets holding up as well as they've held up. Now, speaking of the equity markets, let's talk about that really quick, because the S&P really failed at some key resistance. We were talking about this in the chat room here, the failure at this resistance zone. Now, let me move that just a bit and move this, and you can see why I have it as a zone. The highs from right here, and then from the highs from here. So you can see the highs from, the spike right here, and the highs from the last spike right there. I mean, this is the resistance zone that we're coming into, and we stopped there on a dime. That doesn't mean that we won't break higher, but one of the risks right now is the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq, the daily sentiment index is at 93, I think, as we hit, all-time highs. And this is the Nasdaq 100, but the composite's at new highs, I believe, as well. Let's look at that. I have it somewhere, but I'll have to just type it out because indices, index, composite, Nasdaq, composite. There we go. So, I mean, we're at all-time highs here too. So the fact of the matter is that the Nasdaq's holding up really well. And it still looks like we're going to go higher, and you have to argue, you can't really argue with the fact that it's going higher while we're above this breakout point. So, should that keep a cap on dollar rallies? I think so. Okay, I think so. But it does scare me a little bit that the euro is really failing here, right? Then let's take a look at some other pairs. Like here's the pound. We failed at the 50%. We didn't break this resistance that we were talking about earlier. The Aussie, now the Aussie is interesting because we were breaking out of this triangle. We came back, we retested this trend line. I'm going to tell you right now, this is for me, from an intraday perspective, this is my bull bear line, okay, for right now. As long as we're above, let's just call it 69 cents, you can't be bearish the Aussie. I want to be bearish the Aussie. I think it's risking a reversal here. And I mean, it could happen by the end of the day. Sure. I mean, you know, let's say all the indexes go negative by the end of the day. I mean, we might risk breaking down, but I'm going to say while we are above 69 cents, it's really hard for me to be bearish. I want to be bearish. It's just not, you know, there's nothing more than I love as a trader than false breakouts. Love false breakouts. I get a false breakout and then it's like instant push the other direction, and you know it's fun. It's, you know, those are good trades. This would be a false breakout potential. Okay. Now all the Americans are going on their long weekend. They're all checking out. Maybe Europe has some fun. Maybe Asia has some fun, you know, over the next 24 hours. Who knows? But just watch the Aussie, and I think it's that 69 cent level where you got to start going, ho, wait a second, you know, things get kind of gnarly. And look at the Kiwi. You know, the Kiwi failed at this resistance. Now, we talked about this earlier on the face webinar. Really key multi-year resistance from the spike highs in 2014 all the way down on a weekly chart. Thank you, Chi, for pointing that out in our chat room, because I wasn't even looking at it. I mean, I knew there was a trend line in here. I was looking at this. I was looking at this trend line from here, but I didn't know it spawned all the way back to that. One of the problems with me not doing the weekend analysis on ForexAnalytix is I don't look at the weekly charts all the time. I probably need to make it as we're approaching some of these key levels, I probably should start doing it on a daily basis. You know, a lot of times I just get sucked into the inertia of, okay, here's the daily chart, here's the 4 hour, here's the hourly, you know. But really key resistance here, and you know, if the Kiwi failed here, it'd be a pretty big deal, I would think. Dollar yen, as I've explained to you guys before, I have zero interest in trading the dollar yen right now. Like zero. Like it's not even like why, you know. This Aussie New Zealand, let's talk about this since it's not a major. We should be watching this. Houston on pace to tap second stage of surge ICU beds on July 14th. That's probably not good. I mean, how many emergency whatchamacallits do they have? Okay, so here's the Aussie New Zealand. Reason why this is a big deal? It's a big double top, right? So watch the Aussie New Zealand. If we start breaking, pretty much, I would venture to say if we break below the 200-day moving average, then it gets ugly, okay? That's something that's not major related that maybe you can keep an eye on, you know, moving forward. It is Thursday. It is, you know what? I'm gonna start with, I'm gonna say a couple things really quick. Patterns in play. When we are like this in the stock market, let me just, I'm going to delete this here in a second, but I just want to show you. When we're doing this in the stock market, right? I mean, Nasdaq continues to move higher. Dow, right? Currencies. This is the month. Yeah, I mean, this, I'm pretty much showing you the month, right? When you're seeing price action like this, it is really hard to find good patterns in the market. It really is, because you get a lot of failed attempts. And it, you know, not every pattern we put out on a pattern in play because, you know, you got a correlation that's not jiving, or you got other things that might not be working So, you know, there's some human touch to that. But don't worry, if you guys have been using ForexAnalytix for any length of time, sometimes on this pattern in play, you'll see it lined up with 8 or 9 trades going at once. So it just happens to be a really, really sideways market and very challenging. It's very choppy. We're you know, those of us that are trading in the chat room, we're like, you know, if you can get to green or slightly positive, it's like, man, I'm going to go have a beer. You know, it's that type of market. So don't beat yourself up if you're, you know, being challenged a little bit. Nissim just really quick asked about gold and silver. Look, they're still holding up. You know, silver still threatening a break above 1850. I think this is bullish, right? Not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying I still think that it's a risk. Gold still holding. I think while we hold above this 17, you can probably say 1750 just to you know, round it up. But I think as long as you're above 1750, the risk remains higher. So don't get too you know, comfortable trying to look for shorts here. I still think that they are showing promises as bullish setups. Okay. All right. For the rest of you, if you're listening in a little bit late or after the fact, you're probably already enjoying your elongated weekend. It is going to be a U.S. holiday tomorrow, so it's going to be kind of quiet. But I want to say, if you haven't tried out ForexAnalytix, make sure you do so because it's only $1 for 10 days. For those of you that are listening in, thank you very much for your support. We appreciate it. And make sure you also download that mobile app, no matter what version you're using, even while you're testing it out. So you guys have a great one. I'll see the rest of you guys in the chat room. I'll probably be in there for, I'll be in and out. Where am I going? I'm quarantined. I'll be around. I'm just trying to avoid the computers a little bit. All right, I'll talk to you soon, guys. All right.